What's going on, Pokemon Go trainers? Welcome to episode 115 of Lured Up, the podcast where we take Pokemon Go way more seriously than we do ourselves. Lured Up is part of the Pokemon Professor Network, and today is Sunday, January 26th, 2020. I'm your host, Ken Pescatore, joined by my co-host, Adam Tuttle. Adam, how are you? Hello, friend. How you doing? How are you?
I'm doing flipping fantastic.
Excellent. And
I'm excited. We have friends.
We talked about this.
Friend.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple weeks ago that we were going to chill out on the guests, and because we pushed so hard with having guests every single episode, you know, for like the last 6 months of 2019, and now we're moving to a format where we're going to have a guest on once a month. So this is our once a month show, and we are very excited to be joined by PeloPoGO from Mexico. How are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Hi guys, I'm doing well. I'm over here chilling late Sunday.
Yes.
You're so laid back.
Yeah. It was a tiring day yesterday. We had a big tournament, so I'm really tired. It was a 7-round tournament, so it was really
Ooh,
a long time.
Whoa.
wow. I had a tournament today, but it was only 3 rounds. So I feel
Nice.
I feel you.
Well, this is episode 115. We are lean, mean friendship machine today.
Yes. But we're gonna get to know Pelo in just a moment. But on today's show, we are going to follow up on the news that we broke last week about Melissa. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit more. There was a community note released pretty much a couple hours after we recorded last week regarding some attack updates and move updates with, you know, pretty heavy ramifications on PvP. We'll talk about that. And I also want to follow up on the patch notes that we discussed on the 0.165 code upgrade. We now have a full APK
Yeah, the
Mine.
nerd upgrade.
Yes, we talked about the official patch notes last week, which kind of talked about stuff that Niantic was ready to announce at that point. Today, we're going to dig in behind the scenes with GoHub's APK Mine of the 0.165.0, and you're definitely going to want to put up your spoiler warning because there's a lot of shit in there that is just, you know, still speculative and still out in the future a little bit, but we'll get there. And then finally, at the end of the show, I want to introduce a new segment that we're going to call Poke the Bear, which is going to be a topic that I'm going to pose to the community once a week that is definitely going to have kind of a division of opinion. And I posed a question online earlier this week, and it was great. It was one of our most engaged posts on Twitter that we've ever had. We had a lot of interaction with the community. It was awesome, and we're going to continue to do that. So we'll talk about our new segment, Poke the Bear, at the end of the show. But first, Pelo, how are you, man? Tell us where you're from, who you are, what you do. I'm so excited to have you on the show, man. We've been talking about doing this for a long time.
Hey, my name is Gerardo. My friends call me Pelo. I'm an AR photographer from Mexico. I've been playing the game since release, and I have an Instagram, and I post a lot of pictures there. Have fun with it, you know.
And what's your history with the Pokemon franchise? Did you start with Pokemon Go, or
No,
did you have a kind of connection to Pokemon prior?
Yeah, I started with Pokemon Gold. When I was like 5 years old, I received a Game Boy Advance with my Pokemon Gold, and I was a kid, really young, so I couldn't, of course, play the whole game on my own. I didn't have somebody to guide me through it, but when I had my GameCube many years later, I played Colosseum and XD. Didn't finish them either. And that's basically it. I kept playing Pokemon games from now on, sometimes some and sometimes not so much. And then when I got to Pokemon Go, I was like, maybe this is my chance to, now that I'm more mentally capable, I played a lot of games now. And I can be a real Pokemon master, so.
Yes.
Well, because you started with gold, do you have like a big attachment to the Johto?
Oh, well,
to like those that generation
I'd
of Pokemon?
say my two favorite legendaries are Lugia and Entei, so that's one thing. And
Okay.
Tauros is my favorite Pokemon, so, and that's from Gen 1, so I don't know, but I really do like Gen 1 mostly, and Gen 2. I like them both.
Well, see, that's pretty interesting because like you know, most people have the Kanto, like that whole dex, the original 151 is, you know, everybody has nostalgia for that. And it's like, I would just assume if you started with gold and you know all the gold Pokemon first, that you'd have that affinity for the
Yeah,
Johto Pokemon.
when I was
So,
little, one of my favorite things to do is when I had behaved well, my father would take me to buy some Pokemon figures in the toy store,
Nice.
and mostly they were Gen 1. So I had my Gold Dog, I had my Venonat, I had my so more than playing video games a lot, I loved playing the with my figures, and I still keep my really old Gyarados. Starting to collect those old figures again.
Hell yeah.
yeah, some of those are pretty
Yeah,
rare.
I'm almost halfway in. I don't know, or a little bit more. I ordered some, but yeah, some are really expensive, and I loved watching the anime when I was little and stuff.
And when you bought your copy of Gold, or when you had that copy of Gold, was it an English version of the game, or
Yes, it was an English copy of the game. So basically, in Mexico, most things you have to get them in the U.S. So families that can visit the U.S. and go shop there, it's a very common thing. So I guess my dad was in a trip and he bought these things and came back from the trip and gave me a present. So it was in English. I didn't know English, but I played through as much as I could, and I had a great time. Like, yeah, I love the game.
nice. Obviously, you said at the top of the show, you know, you're an AR photographer, you have an AR channel, and we'll definitely talk about your content. But when you started playing Pokemon Go, did you kind of have this idea that this could potentially lead to some form of creativity, or were you just trying to play the game to have fun with the game and be a master, or did you kind of say like, hey, this is something that I can kind of attach myself to as a creative outlet? Because it wasn't initially that, you know, photography was a thing. You know, we had the AR, but it isn't anywhere where it was what it's like now. Like, was there a point where you kind of decided like, hey, this is something that I could use for a creative outlet?
Yes, of course. So basically, at first, when I started playing, I was a big community leader. I started the first WhatsApp group in my home city. I played a lot with the walking players, not the spoofers. And well,
Yep.
most of the people knew me as a community guy, and I played a lot when there was nothing really to do. Then I stopped playing a while, but really I was always more into the community, not so much about making content. I've watched trainer tips for a while, and once that the Air Plus came out, he said that would be great for travel, taking pictures and stuff. And I was like, oh, you know, I like traveling. Um, I'm not great at photography. I've never taken a course or anything, but you know, I'll try it out. You know, I might have fun. And I had a trip to India some months later,
Nice.
and boom, that's where it all happened. I was like, I'm gonna open an Instagram account. Maybe I'll get 100 followers. I don't think I'll go over my personal account with it, which is at like 400. And well, here we are now. It's been a crazy journey, and I've loved it.
And you said you love travel, and you know, we've have a relationship. We've talked plenty, you know, over the past couple of years and stuff. So I know you travel a ton. So that's great that you're able to kind of put those two things together with, you know, being able to personally experience these different places around the world and then bring that into the Pokemon universe and then be able to share that with everybody. So that kind of progression from personal experience, turning it into a community experience, and then, you know, sharing that with an audience is awesome. And I definitely appreciate it because you've been a huge inspiration for myself and our, you know, podcast community when it comes to AR photography, because you've definitely been on the forefront of the cutting edge of stylization and blending that travel and, you know, really pushing the limits of what is possible within the tool set of that, which is really cool. So tell us about your travel. Like where's your favorite place that you've ever traveled to, and your favorite place that you've ever been able to utilize AR or AR plus when it comes to Pokemon Go?
You know, it's really hard to do AR Plus while traveling because Many people don't realize it, but when you travel and you're like going to these mostly third world countries, are well, where the interesting thing is like Mexico, Egypt. Like there's this all these countries that are they don't have the same facilities as others. So when you buy a cell phone plan, doesn't always work everywhere or stuff like that. So it's really a challenge. So that's why I'm rooting for offline AR. Maybe it'll happen someday. But
Oh, I would love that. Jeez.
That's actually really interesting. If I could jump in,
sure,
I've
sure.
never even really thought of that. Yeah, because that's that would really make a big difference, because without that connection, the game is just kind of at a stall. You're at a stalemate. You can't do anything. So that's really interesting. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I've been.
So that's continue, but that
Yeah,
really
yeah.
triggered me, because I never even thought that as something that would potentially be a need. But now thinking about it, it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like if you're traveling and you don't have that capability to connect, you're out of luck.
Yes, that happened to me in India. So at first, I couldn't catch any Pokemon or take AR pictures in India other than inside the hotels with the Wi-Fi from the hotel. And
Right.
once I bugged my father enough, he was like, "Okay, I'll get some." Because in India, you have to have an Indian ID to buy a SIM. So it was basically impossible for as a tourist to buy one. So we had to make like one of the
Wow.
guides buy it and then share internet through like one of those like handheld hotspots and stuff. And it was really bad.
Oh,
Right.
But
wow. Jeez,
most
the
of
struggle
my
is real.
yeah, and most of my catches were like incense torkoals and stuff. Yeah, and actually
Hey, well, at least you got the Torkoal, right?
yeah, and I loved catching torkoal. I love tortoises, and actually, when I was in the Taj Mahal, I didn't have internet really. They hadn't hired the thing yet, but I had to ask a guy there. I was like, "Hey, could you share your hotspot with me, please? Like, just it's a quick little thing." And he was like, "Yeah, sure. What do you want it for?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do something quick for Pokemon." And this country is like a lot like Mexico. There's a lot of contrasting in money. There's places with a lot of money in Delhi, and there's places with
Right.
really poor people, just like here in Mexico. So some people don't have 4G. Like there's plans in India that sell 2G. Imagine that. So this guy had like a
Wow.
really weak connection, and somehow I got to take a photo of an Aaron right there at the Taj Mahal, and I'm really, really proud of that picture. It was a really basic picture, but it was such a pain to take. So, and I basically took the picture,
Wow.
and boom, connection was out. And I was like, wow, one picture, that's it.
That's kind of cool though, because then it's like,
Well, one
it
picture's
really,
worth 1,000 words,
yeah.
Of
right?
course. And that's the thrill of the hunt. So whenever I go out
Yes.
and
Yes.
go for like a shot or something, and it's hard to take, it's hard to get there, hard to get the connection. And before, when we didn't were able to like select the Pokemon we wanted to take a picture of, it was really an amazing thing when you got everything in the right spot.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too, because I know, even prior to AR Plus coming out, you were still pumping out content, and once AR Plus came and Go Snapshot, the whole, once everything really flipped over, that kind of changed things for the whole photography scene, for the AR photography scene, because it went from, having to potentially risk losing a Pokemon because you're trying to take a photo in the catch sequence, versus being able to just, bring it out, whenever and wherever you are. So as an AR photographer, what is that dynamic like now? Is there kind of like this street cred kind of thing if you take photos in the catch sequence? Like, are people still doing that? Is there any reason to do that still? Or, is it just Go Snapshot all the way?
Well, of course, when there was Go Snapshot and not the body feature, that was a thing. You could only get some, and attack animations were only from wild catches. So that was a nice thing to do. But now with
Right.
the body feature, there's really no reason to do a wild catch photo. Just there's this air fam Discord, basically filled with air photographers and stuff, and people that like doing that. And we have this competition every community day, and it's basically we have to take the best AR picture with a wild Pokemon from the community day. And some people risk the shinies,
Nice.
some people don't risk the shinies. So, but it's a challenge because it's not as polished as the newer features.
Yeah, the buddy system has really leveled the playing field, because now you can put something out and you can get both those animations.
Oh, and a ton of new animations, like the running away animation to get into place, the coming back animation, the happy. There's a bunch of things that you can exploit there, and then I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, my favorite thing is the ability to call your buddy back.
Yes.
And it like runs away.
Well, I was really impressed. I think it was Hex Manifesto. I'm not sure who I believe it was him, but he used the running away, the running feature, but with shared AR. So the Pokemon was actually running away from him.
Okay.
Because someone that was in the other direction was calling it. So it kind of gave this impression like the Piplup was running away.
Okay.
It was amazing. It's like this is like animation. Like it's almost like machinima, where you're kind of really just disrupting the process of what the tools can do, and exploiting is a great way to put it, because you're just kind of manipulating it and exploiting it to make it creative, which I thought was really freaking cool. And I saw that, I go, man, it's so incredibly creative. And that kind of leads me to talk about the AR fam, because I somehow managed to get my, non-photography butt into the AR fam loop. So I'm kind of connected to that community, and I get to see all you guys communicating, and it's amazing how incredibly active that AR community is. And coming from someone, you said that you started as a community leader, I think that speaks volumes to kind of the direction that the AR fam has taken, because the amount of respect and courtesy and the willingness to share and help and kind of get involved and assist other people, probably more so than any other subsegment of the Pokemon Go community, whether it be PvP or raiders or anything like that. It seems like the AR fam really has a good thing going, where you guys are very, very tight-knit and you guys really look out for each other. And I think that's really cool. And it's exceptionally international. I mean, there's people from all over the world in that group, correct?
Yes. Thank you so much for that, Ken. I'm really humbled by what I'm a part of. I love having this extended family, or this augmented reality family, because that's basically what it is. And it's a lot of people that I've even had the pleasure of meeting in person and visiting them, and it's really such a gamer moment to like meet people that you've basically played with and spoken with, and you're like long distance buds stuff. So I loved doing that, and it's really, really, I wouldn't change it for anything. It's really I couldn't put a value to it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
the relationship and the community that you've built, or you're a part of, it's priceless.
Yes, of course.
Well, and we got to see that firsthand when we did our podcast meetup in Chicago last year.
Yes.
We were fortunate to get rated by the AR fam, and I mean, I'm looking at my laptop right now. I have a Mortal Adventure sticker, right on my laptop. But, it was a whole bunch of AR photographers came out to the meetup. It was so awesome hanging out with you guys. And even in person, you guys had this dynamic that was awesome. And you guys really seemed like family and a real awesome community. And it was like, man, this is really cool what you guys have going on, because it just seemed like you really knew and understood the value of not just having, companions to play a game with, but companions as from a creative aspect, where you're having this creative community come together.
Yes.
And, when you bring all those creative juices together, I mean, it creates this awesome, awesome dynamic that just kind of makes everyone better. And, the way you guys talk and compete and have these contests and friendly competitions, and you're always pushing each other and sharing techniques and all this stuff, it's really awesome. So yeah, definitely kudos to Mortal and all you guys for doing all that, because it's very inspiring to see, how the AR family and has kind of come together, and we become friends with so many people in that community. JC, Pop Punk Pokemon,
Yes.
was a great friend of the show. It's just really cool seeing that dynamic. And as someone that enjoys AR photography but doesn't necessarily consider himself an AR photographer, it's awesome to be able to kind of jump in and out of that community and be welcomed. And you guys are always so super kind.
Thank
So
you,
that's,
Ken.
that's really awesome.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
I really appreciate that too. That the community is always open to share, and it's not jealous at all. So all tips
Yes.
go out
Yep.
to everyone, and we all share contests we can participate in, or new techniques, or things we've discovered in the game, or we can you can say like we can copy styles from each other, and we'll be honored by that instead of being feel like ripped off or something. So, and I think that's a
Yeah.
shared thing in the Pokemon Go community. I see a lot of PvP people that help each other make their videos. YouTube people help each other edit or teach each other tricks, and I think it's something really nice. And I've learned so much from Ash Ketchup and JC and everyone. Just everyone has taught me so much, and I couldn't be doing this amount of creative content if it wasn't for the community. I think it would have gone stale. So it's not really so much about what I've been able to do, which is also something individual and something amazing, but it's also what the community has helped me create together. So we create together a community, and we create a niche, and we create a content so that many people can see this niche, this category of playing, this new way of different way of playing grow and evolve, and I love it. I don't get tired of it.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
We could kind of shift gears here a little bit, because you mentioned, how there's parallels with the PvP community as far as, this willingness to be open.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to talk to you about PvP and Wayfarer, two other subsegments of the game, completely unique and different ways that you can engage with the game that are not the prime focus and direction of the game. And that's what I kind of like about it, because like you said, it's this niche that's within the game, these sub-segments. So I know when Wayfarer came out, you were like at the front of the line with
you were waving the flag. You were at the yep.
So how did Wayfarer kind of change? Like what's your community like in Mexico as far as playing in your home area with the density of stops, gyms, and spawns prior to Wayfarer compared to how it is now?
Well, it was never too great. It was very basic. Like you could go to downtown and have something good. Now it's been better, but of course the premium access before everyone else helped a lot, because I got like Pokestops accepted in a matter of 2 to 3 days and stuff like that.
Right.
I've seen, I think, about 5 of my Poros live, not more. Like since the global release, it all really stalled, and for me also the activity over there. So I haven't done much Wayfarer, and we have a really small WhatsApp group, and maybe 30 people or something that keep doing it. I do it every once in a. But yeah, I don't do it as much now, because it's stalled. Like people were like, oh, this is something new. Everybody was grading, and then if nobody grades, then nothing really happens. So something interesting right now that I went to travel to Palestine, I noticed that there's no Pokestops in Palestine. So I nominated the Banksy Hotel, a hotel made by Banksy, and
Right.
it's an amazing place in Bethlehem, and it was denied like a day after, and it was probably
Wow.
it was probably because it said that it was a generic location, and I was like, what? There's no way. Like this thing has a museum inside, everything, and it's probably because of the location. I found out that there's this a lot of blocked places from PokemonGO. I actually, when I just went to Israel and I got to the Golan Heights, which is a territory that's been taken by Israel that was previously part of Syria. And right now it's occupied by Israel, and over there Pokemon have no geotag location. And many places in Palestine don't have geotag location.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, but I haven't had too much activity now in Wayfair. Now I've had to travel. I've met Ash Ketchup again. I've met Lugia again, and second time in 2019. And I've had a blast with my community, and I hope to visit the 3Go Fest this summer, or at least 2. Really, yeah, my community is in Mexico. We're doing great with Wayfair, but I think my thing now is more growing where I'm stronger with the AR fam and with the AR community and stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, you gotta, it's that's one of the best things about this game is there's just so many ways that you can engage with it.
So many things to do.
There's so much shit to do that
I know the new buddy system. I just keep forgetting to swap buddies. I keep forgetting to feed Barry. I'm like, a whole day will go by and I'm like, are you serious? I just missed that.
You get the 11:55 p.m. You're like, oh shit, I didn't feed my buddy. I didn't do this. I didn't take any pictures. It's like, yeah, it's cool. And that's another cool thing, like the amount of people that are being kind of introduced to the photography element of Pokemon Go through the buddy system. This is kind of Niantic's master plan. We've always talked about this, how one segment of the game kind of reinforces another. And if you want to play PvP, you need Stardust. To get Stardust, you have to grind. You want that rare candy to fill out your decks, you got to raid. So it's like you have all this kind of cross contamination of segments of the game. And I've seen plenty of people that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to be taking a picture of my Pokemon every day. I might as well get a little creative with it and not just go through the motions. And then before they know it, they're posting pictures on Twitter and and Instagram. It's like, hey, I'm doing AR photography, and it's like, yo, this is awesome. You probably would have never done this if it wasn't for the buddy system. So that's just speaks to the brain space and the power of Niantic's marketing of understanding how to connect the dots when it comes to the different areas of the game.
Yes.
But what about PvP, man? You said you came from a 7-round PvP tournament. Like, how many competitors did you have? That's a huge freaking tournament.
I don't know. I think it was more than 80. The last time I checked, it was 80 people. It's a tournament I did with 2 big Mexican YouTubers. So one is Chevy TV, and he's like the number 1 in Mexico subscriber-wise. And the other one is Juanchopolis, which he's like, I think he's Latin American's number 1, or in Spanish, number 1 PvP channel. He has like 7,000 subs or something, almost 8. And as a PvP channel, he's just started, and he's doing really great. And so we 3 got invited over here to León, Guanajuato, which is another state. And we basically, did a little bit of activities in between rounds, and people got to meet us. I got to sign some photos, gave away some postcards. I got to be in pictures with people, and
oh hell yeah,
that's
awesome.
Basically meet more people from other states. And the organizer was a Poké Cup, which is a community here in León, Guanajuato, and a guy who makes pins, shiny pins. Yeah, it's the shiny tournament, and basically all Pokemon have to be shiny, and all it's in Great League.
Wow.
So, yeah, my team was pretty beast. It was Azumarill, Alon Marowak, Venusaur, Vigoroth, Melmetal, and missing one, Altaria. And it was pretty unstoppable. So
you're pretty much flexing the whole time. Awesome.
Yeah, and everybody was using shiny, so I was at the top of the points and everything. I was undefeated up until round 4, and in round 5, I got to face like the other guy that was at the top, and this guy had he just came out with Azumarill and then went out with Registeel and then Cresselia. So I had like no way of countering him. He had like the most tanky OP shiny Pokemon to use in PvP, and he won the tournament at the end. So it was an amazing thing, and I won 4 out of 7.
and I had a great time. I loved meeting the people there. I love PvP because of that. It's another way to meet people from the community. So,
and also leaving the tournament with a positive record is also awesome.
Of course.
That's always nice.
And the only thing that limits me in PvP is the Stardust, of course. Many times I can't participate, but I try to go as many times as possible. I'm a community leader also in my home city, so along with my community, I help organize the tournaments and stuff. But I love the ideas of making huge tournaments in places and getting a lot of people to travel over there and compete and meet each other and have fun. And I think that's what Pokemon Go is about, and I hope it keeps on going. And I hope the PvP community keeps on growing. I would love it if one day we have like worlds again, but like competitive, and I can go over there with my Mexican flag and shout like Mexico, like crazy.
Hell yeah, dude!
Yeah,
it's coming,
to be
man.
like the guy that's waving the flag and like shouting out loud and making the wave, like yeah.
Well, that's how it is with the TCG. When you watch Worlds and you watch the TCG competition or VGC, there's all the competitors come out wrapped in their flag. That's so cool.
Yep.
Like I love that. It's reminiscent of bigger sports, boxing, and things like that. Like it's really cool, and it shows that international flavor of people that are it's bigger than just the game. Like this is actual international representation, and people are really literally flying the flag. I think that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and I love taking air photography of PvP players. So sometimes I'll put them next to their favorite PvP Pokemon, or sometimes I'll like edit in their 6 full team Pokemon, and it's so fun.
That's cool.
I've posted some in my page, but I'm trying to do as much as I can. If anyone ever finds me in a PvP tournament, I'll gladly do it for you.
You know what I'd like to see, Pelo?
Yeah, tell me.
I'd like to see you doing the shared AR with somebody and having the Pokemon like in front of them as like whatever their leads are. And then like
that would
have
be
like
amazing.
the video going or like next to them. I don't know. I feel like you need like a bigger screen, but or just have their Pokemon right in front of them, battling each other, and you can tap to make them attack or whatnot. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Hey man, we might be seeing we'll talk. We're going to be talking about it later on after the break on the show, but we might be seeing landscape mode coming to Pokemon Go. So it's something in the code that talks about that. So I'll talk, Adam and I'll discuss that later. But Pelo, man, dude, I'm so happy that you're able to make it on the show. It's, you've been an inspiration to so many trainers, and, I really appreciate everything that you've done for the community. And, you've been an amazing supporter of Lured Up and everything that we have going on. And, I look forward to, working with you again in the future and hanging out and meeting. And I definitely hope that, we're able to connect at some of these 2020 live events because, you're just a great guy, and we really appreciate connecting with creators that have, a positive community outlook like you do. And, this is the kind of people and the kind of processes that we need to support, because that's exactly what this game and community needs to continue going down the right path and keeping things positive and strong. So thank you, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you,
I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. I would just really like to ask you guys, if we meet next time in Chicago or something, I don't know, you guys have to help me do my first proper shared AR experience, because I actually got to meet up with Ash and Lugia, and we didn't get the feature until the day after we met. So, but
I know, I saw the tweet.
Yeah,
I was like, one day
away. It would have been an epic photo session, but I hope I meet somebody really soon, and hopefully you guys, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with that feature.
Yeah,
and
I have honestly
Hey,
I've never done
absolutely.
it, and I would love to do it with you first.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I need people. I need phones. I need people that want to do it. Yeah.
Man,
Let's
I've
go.
been dying to do it. Nobody wants to do it.
Pelo, why don't you let our community know where they can find you? And of course, I'll put links in the description to everywhere you can find you. But why don't you let our community know the best places to check you out?
Sure can. Of course, main is Instagram. It's at PeloPoGO. So basically PeloPoGO. And that's the same for everywhere else. If you don't like Instagram, I got Facebook is the same content posted at the same exact second. And in Twitter, basically, I'm trying to share daily as well, but it's a thing, and I'm working on it. Not great at Twitter.
Twitter's a different beast.
Yes, I've never liked Twitter, but I'm trying to get a hang of it. Maybe someday.
Awesome. So everyone definitely connect with Pelo on Instagram. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter as well and connect with him there. Dude, thank you again so much for coming on the show. And I'm sure, in the next couple months, whenever these events roll through, that we'll definitely be hooking up and hanging out and being able to do some creative stuff together. I really do appreciate you coming on the show.
No, thank you guys for the invitation, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody else, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about the news of the week, including a dive into the 0.1650 APK Mine, which there's a lot of good, hot fire in there that we can, put our tinfoil hats on and speculate about. And we'll be back right after this. Thanks again, Pelo.
Thank you.
And we're back from our break. Thank you guys for
it was a nice break.
Little break there. And thanks to PeloPoGO.
Pelo rocks.
That was awesome.
Check his stuff out.
Such a good guy, man. Yes. Definitely check out his content. Links in the descriptions. Make sure you give him a follow on all his platforms. It's amazing the stuff that he's able to do with AR and AR+. It's really cool how he breaks the mold and does things that you don't think that the game should be able to do. He's got like really, really creative ways to use the tools, and it's giggity, and it's really fun, really awesome to see. All right, a little housekeeping really quick. This podcast is powered by Patreon. Please check ours out over at patreon.com/PokemonProfessor, where you can support this show for as little as $1 a month. And that $1 will get you access to our patron-exclusive Discord, which is a fantastic place filled with fantastic people. And I want to give a huge shout out to our show supporter tier patrons: Brittany J, James, Matt, M. Pitts, Terry, David, Chris, Sydney, Bacon L, The Noise, Harry, Pokenav, Bot, Purple Pancakes, Dem Gears, Be Bangin', Lady Goobly Meat, Go Ranger, Matt, The Phoenix, Baker Boy, Jolt Switch, Alex, The Illustrious Overseer, Jason, Matt from Kentucky, Paul, Justin, Val, Monica, PJ, Trainer, Dex, Jay, and Will. Thank you guys so much for your support. We really, really do appreciate it. A huge shout out, as always, also to our executive producer, Paul Bhatt. And I want to give another shout out as well to our two new patrons for the week, Aiden and Jan Michael. Thank you guys so incredibly much for your support. We appreciate it. But if Patreon isn't your thing, no big deal. Still a couple other ways you could support us. If you're listening on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. And if you're listening via a podcast service like Apple Podcasts, you can take a moment to leave us a review. All right, guys, we're going to catch up with all the things that have happened over the last week, including a community note that Niantic put out regarding attack updates, follow up on the patch notes that we discussed last week with a APK Mine that GoHub did, and then I have this new segment, Poke the Bear, that I want to talk about, with just topics that are going to be very interesting for the community to discuss that are pretty much divided. But first, before I do that, I did want to follow up on, the heavy news that we talked about last week regarding the split between Melissa and I and her not being on the show anymore. I wanted to thank absolutely everybody for the outpouring of support on all our platforms. I've had phone calls, emails, text messages, private messages, DMs, public messages, like you name it. You guys have all come through. I'm going to be responding to all the emails privately. So if you sent an email, believe me, I did get it. There's a lot. So, I will be responding to everyone personally. I am going to get that stuff to Melissa. And this is the extra fucked up part about this whole situation. So I haven't talked to Melissa in 9 days now. So the shit has hit the fan so hard that it's just like I haven't even seen her. So she's been messaging me and it's been tough, but she wasn't necessarily happy with the way I explained the way shit went down. And I didn't want to get into what had happened personally between us because, you know, that's neither here nor there. But, you know, she messaged me and she's like, look, you know, you kind of made it seem like this was all me and I took the fall for everything. And it's like, look, I want to say this. I'll hold myself accountable for anything in my life, including the state of my marriage and, you know, my impending divorce. You know, I don't want to, I hope I didn't give the impression last week that, you know, I'm fucking Johnny Be Good over here and Melissa fucked everything up. And that's why, you know, I fired her from the show or anything like that. You know, this has been a struggle in our relationship for a long time. So I don't want to have that impression that, you know, things were peaches and cream on my end and, you know, Melissa fucked up by any means. And it sucks because she's not here to talk and she's not here to, I don't even want to say the word defend, but she's just not here. So you guys have supported us, everybody. It's been amazing. You know, I will get her all the messages and emails that you've sent, but it is a fucked up situation because, you know, I'm clearly not going to talk about the details of why things went wrong, but fucking everything went wrong. So I just want to make sure you guys know that this isn't something where this is all on Melissa's shoulders by any means. I'll hold myself accountable for, you know, being as much as a fuck up as I possibly can because, you know, this is my life too. So, you know, hopefully I didn't give that impression last week or, you know, people didn't. I don't think so because it didn't seem that way. But, you know, Melissa listened to the show and she messaged me and she was just like, what the fuck, you know? So I apologize if I gave that impression in any way. And like I said, hopefully this is a temporary thing. And, you know, once the smoke clears down the road, we'll see what we can do going forward. But thanks again, everyone, for your support. It's been fucking phenomenal. And you guys have really made this week a little bit easier for me because it's been a tough one. It's been a really difficult one. So I really do appreciate that. All right, let's move on. Adam,
what?
I've got some stuff to talk about. All right.
What stuff?
So the day after we recorded last week, Niantic puts out a community
More
note
news
on PokemonGoLive.com. More news. And this is a good one. So now, like, when they have, like, press releases, they have event releases, they have blog posts, they have Niantic support, you know, help shift help, whatever the fuck they call it. All these different types of releases that they do. So this was a community note that kind of just talks about mechanical stuff within the game, which kind of gets nerds excited, and some people might gloss over it, but it's definitely worth talking about because this is what I believe the final update to moves prior to Go Battle League releasing. This is what I think is the last step of this real overt rebalancing, if you want to call it that, before the Go Battle League is released. So I'm going to run through the list here of everything that's going on because there's a ton in this release. It says, charge attacks and switching are now queued at the end of the current fast attack and won't be overridden by following fast attacks. So in PvP, this is a game changer. So what this is pretty much saying is you can queue your switches and your charge moves. It'll happen after the previous fast attack animation is complete. Now, if you've ever played PvP, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you ever have a situation where you're like, I'm pressing the fucking charge attack and it's not attacking. Why isn't it attacking? Like, you ever had that feeling? Like, okay. So, because what's happening is you're overriding that by mashing on a fast attack. And, you know, before the animation is finished, it's registering another attack and it kind of fucks up the whole queuing sequence. So now they're putting, you know, the flag in the ground and saying switches and charge moves will in fact queue directly like a fast attack would be in repetition. So that's now in line. So you have to be exceptionally aware of your tapping sequence, because if you're just tapping away and that charge button lights up, if you had double tapped or had an extra fast attack tap while that's happening, you're still going to have to wait for that final attack to clear its animation before that charge attack will fire off. So you have to be very aware of your tapping, because if you're just going, you know, buck wild on it, you're going to miss being able to fire off your charge attack by the length of time of the animation of another fast attack, which could be, you know, what you need to win the battle. So just pay a little bit more attention to that. And the first time you do PvP or even a trainer battle, you'll understand if you're just like a tap happy person. You'll see what I mean, because you'll be able to cue that stuff.
That's totally me. I can't tell you like
most
the
people.
intensity that I have in the matches that like we play in our Discord. I'm just like
like smash the glass screen like smashes.
Oh, now there's another
All right,
crack.
updates to attacks. Mega Horn, bug type charge move, now deals more damage, and Volt Switch, which is an electric type fast move, it activates and generates energy faster. So what this means is that not only is the animation quicker, but it's also going to be generating more energy per attack. So that's good. New attack in the game, Flying Press. This is an interesting one. It's a fighting type charged attack move, but they haven't released really any information other than the fact that it's going to be in the game. Now, what makes this interesting is in the main series games, it was introduced in Gen 6, but in the main series, it deals a combination of fighting and flying damage depending on the conditions of the match. So I'm not going to get into how those conditions work with like normalizing and all that kind of stuff, but this will be an interesting one, and it's an opportunity for Niantic to kind of introduce a new kind of mechanic if they wanted to with this move because it's kind of unique.
I think they could do like this could be like it has a double charge attack anyways, but it gets Flying Press. Imagine if it just automatically gets the two, but one's fighting, one's flying, and you basically get to choose between the two. They both charge up the same.
Meaning, like, if it's on a fighting Pokemon, you'll still get stab, or if it's on a flying Pokemon, you'll still get stab?
No, if this is the signature move for Hawlucha, does Hawlucha get two signature moves automatically, and it becomes like a special research day, but he automatically gets the two charge moves?
Yeah, but we're like 2 years away from seeing Hawlucha in the game.
But this move is beforehand? I don't know.
Well, this move, in this release, they said that this move is going to be coming to the game. All right, Pokemon can now learn these attacks. Plusle and Mining can learn Grass Knot. That's going to give them ground coverage.
I love that.
Lantern can learn Spark, which is going to give better water coverage. Ampharos, this is actually a good one. Thunder Punch, which will be a nice complement to that community move Dragon Pulse. So if you have the Dragon Pulse Community Day move for Dragon coverage, now you can have Thunder Punch to actually give it, the electric type stab. Masquerain can learn Bubble Beam, which will give it fire and rock coverage, and Vespiquen can learn Fury Cutter and Air Slash, which just gives it better DPS. Vespiquen was kind of a shitty Pokemon in terms of DPS, so this just gives it a little bit more support there. And this one's interesting. The legacy moves are back. You can do this with TMs, and these are Kanto Pokemon. Raichu can learn Thunder Shock. This is a big one for PvP, man. So it's like that. This was a coveted Pokemon with trading for PvP. Now you can get it with TMs. Magneton can learn Thunder Shock and Discharge. Venomoth, Poison Fang. And get these two. Haunter with Shadow Ball and Hypno with Shadow Ball. These are like, I know, man. These were big Pokemon that people really gave a shit about with trading and holding out and all that stuff. And those legacy moves are back. So there's good and bad. I mean, it levels the playing field. It lets people that weren't in the game actually do that. And it's just nice from, that perspective. All right, moving on. We got a lot to cover here. The 0.1650 APK Mine. This is coming from PokemonGO Hub. Again, I'm going to read their disclaimer because they always put it really good. It says, please be aware that everything posted here has been publicly reported by data miners. Information shared through these channels is not affiliated nor approved by Niantic and is always subject to change. I'm going to stop there. Potential spoilers ahead. So just understand this is an APK mine. All this stuff is speculative. It's not live. Not all this stuff is live in the game. So this is all subject to change. Okay. Updates to handling forms. So there's bits in the code for normal, Alolan, Galarian forms. And the hot item in here is Arceus is noted in the code. That's really exciting. Frillish is also called out for normal and female forms. So it's just cool the way they're switching things up with handling the forms. Updates to Team Go Rocket. Hatch Shadow Eggs. So maybe this is going to mean if you spin a Team Go Rocket stop while it's still under possession of Team Go Rocket, you can get a Shadow Egg and hatch Shadow Pokemon. That's exciting. Again, tinfoil hat. Shadow and Purified Pokemon will show the proper sprites in the inventory screen. So rather than just show the little icon for Shadow or Purified, it'll actually show the auras around the Pokemon. It's similar to how when you look at a shiny Pokemon, it does have the shiny symbol, but it also shows the shiny form. This will actually show the shadow or purified form. Your avatar now has a shadow. We talked about how that was kind of annoying. That's actually live in the game now, so you can see that. This is another big one. XP rewards for milestones. So what the hell does that mean? Doesn't seem that would lead to a level cap increase, but it does seem that they may have some rewards for reaching certain tiers of XP. So for the grinders that are post level 40, that's good news. Big update to the weather system. Wind level now has 3 levels of speed. Speed level 1, 2, and 3. So that might determine what kind of spawns we see depending on the weather. Submit sponsored POI. So you go by a Starbucks and there's no stop or gym there, and you're like, what the fuck? This is a sponsored location. It should have it. You can actually submit a sponsored stop. Blacklisting POI edits. So if they, I guess, I don't know how they're going to kind of monitor this, but if you fuck up a lot with POIs and you're doing bullshit, submissions, they can actually blacklist you from being able to submit POIs in the future. So be aware of that when you're making submissions. Poffin bundles of 3 and 5 were found in the code. So I don't know what kind of discount they're going to have, but rather than just buying one a la carte, you're going to be able to get those in bundles soon. PvP buffering and queued moves. This is just kind of cleaning up messed inputs and, again, keeping track a little bit more of your tap sequence through the animation sequence just to make it a little bit more responsive. And there's a bunch of stuff in here about Go Battle Hub, and the rewards and everything have been leaked for this. I don't want to talk about that yet. Again, I like talking about data mines, but there's no need to talk about this shit yet because it's just that's the details of this. We don't have to go that far into it. But what we can see in this APK mine is the Go Battle will also have its own tutorial and interface. The season end dates, they're showing seasons ending on March 1st with 2-month seasons running through the calendar up through 2028, which is interesting. So
that must be
let's hope
their
that this
long
game lasts that long.
Letting us know.
Yep. And the Versa Seeker can store multiple charges. Again, speculative. We don't know how the hell Versa Seeker is going to work. Everyone's looking at the data mines, and that's why I don't talk about the rewards, because there's language in there for like standard and premium, and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be behind a paywall. I don't even want to fucking put fuel on that fire. So we'll talk about that when we get a little bit more information. The Great Box is going to be pulled from the store completely, and we're just going to have, our adventure box really in its place. Something with the Create Party tab, so maybe we'll see a new way to create parties or keep track of things, maybe for PvP. And I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier when we were talking to Pelo, something with being able to switch the orientation of the phone. So maybe we'll either be able to play in landscape, or there'll be modes that will be playable within landscape. We'll have to see. And also another interesting one, Nintendo and Apple login methods. Why is this important? Fuck Apple, it doesn't matter. Nintendo. Could this potentially be the first step of connecting your Pokemon Trainer Club account and your Nintendo account or something in regards to the rankings, so you can potentially connect this to My Nintendo and earn rewards? Who fucking knows? Tinfoil hat theory all the way. It's crazy. But we'll have to see. All right, before we get into our Poke the Bear segment, there is a couple bits of miscellaneous news here. This is an interesting one, Adam, and I don't know if you've been doing trades through the Lunar New Year event, because we were told that you're going to have a higher probability of becoming lucky friends with people, but also lucky Pokemon through trades. So the standard lucky trade rate is 5%. During last year's Lunar New Year event, it was measured by Silph Science at 9%, approximately. This year, they did 1,500 trades, and they saw no increase in lucky rate.
Yep.
What the fuck?
I am noticing that I have
like,
traded a bunch, and I have opened all gifts the second I hit 4, and just today I got to be lucky friends with Carrie Tastic, and that's it. That's the only lucky friend I've gained from the event. So clearly it's not like, and before that, I can't even tell you my last like lucky friend, because it seems like they nerfed it completely, and this is like back up to like the normal rate.
Well, you got to remember, lucky friends, though, are different than lucky trades, lucky Pokemon.
No, I get that.
So,
but
oddly
like
enough,
lucky trades, I have
I
noticed.
became lucky friends with Carry-tastic too.
I have noticed that lucky trades or trades that I've done have been increasingly lucky. But it's usually the Pokemon I don't want. I'll be like, oh, well, I'll trade you that. And then it's like, oh, God, really? I didn't need another Magic card.
Silph Science said 5%. So it's kind of bizarre. You know, again, this is third-party data. So it's just weird. Like, why would they promote it and then, you know, the scientists say that it's not? It's just not a good look if that's the case, because, you know, people are putting an emphasis on doing this because we were told to, you know, make more trades. You know, you have a higher probability of being lucky, but it doesn't seem that way. So we'll have to see as more data comes through the end of the event. And let's talk about those end dates. Go Ranger check-in.
What's up, everybody? It is Go Ranger Matt, and this is the Go Ranger check-in.
All right, you got a couple more days for your last chance at that shiny Lapras from Research Breakthrough. I will be getting my 4th Lapras on the 31st of January, so I have one more shot for that shiny Lapras.
I just opened one today, and nope.
Okay. Community Day voting is going to be Saturday, February 1st.
Full picks.
Mincino Limited Research. Yes, full picks. Mincino Limited Research is Sunday, February 2nd. That's going to be from 2 to 5 p.m. local time. The Lunar New Year event is going to be ending Monday, February 3rd at 1 p.m. PST. And Heatran raids, we're going to go away on Tuesday, February 4th at 1 p.m. PST. We still have no idea what's going to be after Heatran. It's got to be something new. They can't do 2 recycled Pokemons in a row, especially after Latios weekend that we're having right now. So we have all these recycled Pokemon going on right now. They got to come out with something new. It'll be interesting to see. Yo, imagine if it's Arceus. What the hell?
No, Shaman. Arceus will be in EX raids. Shaman.
I know. All right, here's our new segment, Poke the Bear. So I posed a question on Twitter the other day, and like I said at the top of the show, it got fantastic engagement. It drummed up some great conversation. I had a bunch of creators, a bunch of other podcasts, you know, fans, people I've never heard from before coming in to join the conversation, and it was fantastic. So here's the question I posed on Twitter. Is Pokemon Go content too sanitized on YouTube and social media? Do you prefer it to be family friendly, or would you like to see some more adult-focused themes? What types of content would you like to see blended with Pokemon Go? So I left it like that. So I'm not saying like, hey, let's bring porn into Pokemon Go. Like, I'm not talking like that. I'm just saying the ability to say shit and fuck or have a beer on stream without fearing something as a creator where it's like, man, maybe I shouldn't do this. Now, there's ups and downs here because I get it. If you want to have relationships with certain brands, first party, things like that, you have to have a certain way of handling yourself. I get that. But is that necessary for the general populace of Pokemon creators? Because it seems like lately, a lot of the creators are kind of on edge because they want to be able to express themselves in different ways that are but they kind of feel held back by their relationships with certain sponsors. And I get that. But that's disrupting the creative process to some degree. So I put the question out there just to take the temperature of the community and see how it went. And we got some great responses, and I'll share some here. Terry Wolf just wrote, give me some more R-rated content. Of course, Terry. Terry wants all the R-rated shit. Terry sends me some fucked up memes. And,
oh my God, he's the reason the internet channel is like... he never disappoints. I go in there and it's like, no, are you serious?
It's great. It's great.
And I burst out into laughter.
Like, where do you find this shit? Let's see some other great responses here. This one from John Miller. It says, both have their place for sure, but I prefer adult-based stuff because it's real and natural. Family-based videos are controlled and edited and lack a bit of personality and life.
Ugh.
Interesting. Augmented Naturally, this is a podcast, says, family-friendly will always have more potential as it can be shared on all venues. In a way, it's the Pokemon way. And let me just jump in here. He talks about not just in content, but actually within the game itself. He says, I would love to see Pokemon in general with an RPG love simulation style. Maybe choices that impact the Pokemon economy or ecosystem without a simple plot. This was interesting Because so what if in game you could do like shipping? You know what I mean? Like of all the stuff that we see online with the anime, or even games like the BioWare games where you have these relationships that you build with people and you make these decisions and you have love interests, like maybe, but again, that's the whole thing. It's like, it's a kid's game. Are they going to introduce like dating and kissing and shit like that? Probably not. But if anyone ever played The Sims, you know that shit's fun. You know what I mean? So that would be definitely interesting to see if that would ever come to the game. Augmented naturally. Thanks, man. That's a great way. I didn't even think of in-game. I was thinking from a content perspective, but in the game itself, I love that. It's a great idea. Another great response. This one from Marcy Danley. Says, I appreciate the family-friendly YouTube content because my kid watches to see what's going on in the game. He loves Nick and Mystic 7 videos, but it isn't for everyone, so I hope both continue. Great point. There are kids that play this game. There needs to be stuff for them to have so they feel empowered that they know what's going on within the game. So I'm not saying that adult content is necessarily for everybody. I'm just saying from a creative perspective, would you like to see that? So I understand that family-friendly content is super important, especially when it comes to someone like Mystic 7. I've seen it with my own eyes, how amazing this guy is working with kids. And he's only 21, 22 years old. Both him and JT Gilly were phenomenal working with the kids when I saw them at the Samsung space. So like, that's super important. And, they're an asset to the community because of that. So believe me, I love working with kids too, but I also come on, sit in front of a mic and tell dick and fart jokes. So it's like there's that balance between it all. So it's good to have both. One more comment I'll put here. This is from Risen. I am Risen. It says, I'm an adult content kind of person, but sadly, when you're making content for Pokemon, if you make adult content, you will never be able to partner with any official Pokemon content. So that's what I'm talking about. You got to play that game, that balance. And that really what inspired me to talk about this was Holly. And, when we had Holly on and we talked about the cosplay thing, and then she put up a post the other day of talking about some stuff that she's going through and comments that she's seeing and people like, just being shitty because she's female and all this fucked up shit. And it's interesting to see how the community reacts to it. So that's why I wanted to pose this question and be unbiased. I didn't want to take a side. I mean, it's like, yeah, we curse on our show, but it's not like we're smoking pot or drinking beers on camera, partying or doing anything like that, or stripping down to our skibbies or anything like that.
Well, how do you know?
What if?
I've been sitting here this whole time. No.
Dude,
just picture it.
I'd have to say 99.9% of the podcasts I've recorded for this brand, I've been in my undies. So that's just how I roll. But no, it's a give and take. You have to understand that, yes, there is implications if you want to be an adult channel. But striking up that conversation, especially when I started to see all the content creators jump in, it was great conversation. So there's no one even talking about it. That's the thing. It's like you have the people like us that use profanity. You have the people, even like on Jolt Switch's podcast, they use profanity too. But the content creators that are working with Niantic, like the video creators, they have a certain obligation to not be that because they have written agreements. So of course you can't do it. But yes, when you sign those agreements, you are limiting your creative mojo because you've agreed to something. So I completely understand that. But when I watch Overwatch videos or my son is watching Fortnite or whatever it is, like there's all different types of creators, but they're not necessarily working with first parties, so they don't have to worry about that. This community is very different because Niantic is so freaking awesome. They're on the ground level with us. And that's why it's an interesting conversation, because they're not just like the eye in the sky. They're not Sauron. You know what I mean? They're actually on the ground with us. They're talking with us. They're engaging with us. They're making it happen with the community and with the content creator community. So there is that. So let us know what you think. I'll put a link in the description to the Twitter thread. If you're on Twitter, you can join in on the conversation. But let us know. Let us know exactly where you stand. Would you like to see more adult-focused content in social media? Because you can get it in podcasts, you can get it on YouTube, but it's just weird with Pokemon, and I get it. It's it seems like a kid-focused thing. We all know that adults play this game. We all know that the people watching the adult content are adults, but it's a unique situation because Niantic is just so connected that people fear that bridge being burned before it's even built. And that's where that creative stifling could happen. So it's a great conversation. Let us know what you guys think. And I think this will be a fun, segment to bring back every week with a different topic because, there's always stuff going on that kind of divides the community. But Adam, what other content do you watch outside of Pokemon? I mean, I know you're a huge Overwatch fan. I know you like your shooters and stuff like that. Like, do you watch any other content on YouTube outside of Pokemon Go?
Mostly just TCG videos.
And that stuff's pretty clean, right?
For the most part, it's pretty clean. Yeah. I mean, there are some creators that are just kind of like out there and I'm like, I just want to see the game and you explain what you're doing. Not like, I don't know his name like off the top of my head, but it's just like, he's just like put so many different things in his video. I'm like, I can't even pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah. Well, that's different too. Like with us, we're not trying to, all right, I'm going to do it, poke the bear just by using profanity. It's just a natural way of communicating. It's not like we're saying like, oh, we got to do an edgy segment or we got to do something like that to prove and show that, we're willing to risk it all by dropping F-bombs or something like that. But
it's just us being true to ourselves.
And that's what, in this Twitter thread, you have a lot of people saying it's like, well, I like to hear it because it's natural. And it's, when you guys discuss topics, it sounds like how I discuss the topics, meaning, the consumer, the user. So it's like, it is a natural thing. So it's a great topic. And, people even approached me privately and said, dude, you shouldn't even be talking about this. Aren't you worried about, getting flagged yourself? And it's like, dude, we're creating a conversation. People are coming together and putting their opinions out. It's a great way to understand what the community is going through. So it's like, I'm glad I did it because it gave me this idea of like, yeah, we need to talk about this stuff because obviously there's a lot of opinions and people really want to talk about it. So let us know what you guys think. I'll put a link in the description. Please join the conversation and poke the bear a little bit. Let us know where you're at with things. And we'll report back next week. And I've got a good one that I'll post on Twitter for next week's show about a situation I had with catching a 100% Tortuga the other day in the wild, which I'll get to on Twitter and we'll discuss next week. But Adam, I think we did it.
We have done it.
I hope that wasn't too fast of a railroading through that back end because
no, it's okay. I just sat back and let you go for it because I mean, again, it's all like it's just new moves stuff. Like while we were talking, I may have gotten my I think it's a rank 4 Haunter. I think I might have just given him a Shadow Ball while we were discussing it.
Nice,
so nice. Stuff was going down.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you guys so much for checking out the show. We really do appreciate you guys sticking around. Thanks again for all your support.
Yeah, you guys have been fantastic, wonderful, awesome, amazing. We love you guys. Yep. Thank you for listening.
Make sure you connect with Pelo. Again, all the links in the description. And I'll ask him for the links to those two content creators that he was working with the PvP tournament. So if you speak Spanish, you want to get some Spanish Pogo content in your life, check out the links in the description as well, so we can help promote them to our community and see who we can get to cross over. Let's see. Our Secret League pin available at the Secret League store. Link is in the description. You can email us. And again, we got a ton of emails. I'm going to reply to everybody. You can email us info@luredup.com. You can leave us a voicemail, potentially inappropriate if you'd like, a text, a picture at 732-835-8639. And you can check out our website, luredup.com. Check out PokemonProfessor.com for everything that's going on the channel. Other than that, I think that's all she wrote. Adam, you got anything else?
That is all she wrote.
Excellent. Thanks again, everyone. Make sure you connect with Pelo and keep training, trainers. We'll see you guys next week.